Hello once again, and welcome to another edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. I'm your host, GX94 Yorkton Agriculture Director, Doug Falconer. I'm joined by the 620 CKRM Regina AgriNews Director, Ryan Young, and the Chief Agricultural Editor for SaskAgToday.com, Kevin Hursh. Hello, gentlemen, and of course, the big news again this week was we did have some rain, and it kind of set back seeding a little bit, but it sounds like people are going once again. Is that what you're hearing?
Well, certainly we got going. This is Friday. We got going yesterday. Oh, a little bit of spraying in the morning, seeding again in the afternoon into a very moist seed bed. So I'm other areas that got more rain than we did here in this localized area in the southwest maybe have held up a little bit longer, but I'm sure given the season and the time of year, everybody will be anxious to get out there and pound the acres in. And it was a very welcome rainfall, a very widespread rainfall, heavier in some areas, lighter in other areas, but very widespread, not just this localized thunder shower stuff. So, you've heard it referred to as $1 billion rain, and it indeed could have been.
Ryan?
Yeah, I was talking with a couple of producers yesterday on Thursday. One of them was Levi Wood from Westwood Agri Services. It's a family operation just southwest of Regina. He said that they're grateful for the rain and was glad that it shut off when it did, because if it rained any longer, he said that there would have been water standing in the field, so they got an adequate amount of moisture to get seeding going as well. And also talked with the latest winner of the 620 CKRM Country Cookout, Woody Blaster from the Cupar area, north on the Qu'Appelle Valley there. And he said he's just about ready to go. He said he wasn't going to start seeding until it rained at some point. So they got a good amount of rainfall, and he's going to get going pretty soon.
Yeah, here in the Yorkton area, we took out GX94 Supper in the field to Barry Novak. He lives just southeast of Yorkton, and he said it's too wet for him to start. That was Wednesday night. He said he expected to start either Sunday or Monday, so he's still a few days off just because of this latest rain. But like we all said, nobody seems to be complaining too much about the rain, as long as they can start getting the seeding done here fairly quickly. Another big event in Regina this week was the Food, Fuel, and Fertilizer Summit. And Ryan, you covered it wall to wall. You were pretty busy down there.
I definitely was, and it was almost kind of overwhelming at times. There was about 400 people that were there for the conference up on the second floor of the Delta Hotel. So, also just the fact that there's a lot of big names there at the conference, like Premier Scott Moe, former Premier Brad Wall, he was there speaking. Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper was one of the speakers as well. Murad Al-Khatib, the head of AGT Food and Ingredients, also the president and CEOs of Cameco and Federated Co-op were there as well. So a lot of big name players at this conference. And yeah, there was just pretty much wall-to-wall coverage of speakers. There was a little bit of time and opportunity for networking and all that, but the general theme of the conference was just the potential Saskatchewan has to be a big-time reliable supplier of everything that the world needs, and it kind of ties in with the title, food, fuel, and fertilizer. Now, try and say that a few times without trying to stumble and get your tongue twisted, but that was kind of the general theme, and Premier Scott Moe kind of drummed the province's chest on that, so to speak, and having a lot of potential for exporting a lot of agri-food products, a lot of fertilizer products, potash and uranium, and how the province can make a huge impact globally. There was also a lot of talk about, market trends and market outlooks on from different companies' perspectives, like Bruce Bodine with the Mosaic Company, for example. There was in my chat with him, he was kind of talking about how when the Russia-Ukraine war started, that there was concern over disruption of supply chains. And now that we're a couple of years into that conflict, things have since kind of stabilized somewhat. So there's a little bit of optimism once again, and a whole lot more. There was a lot of information kind of passed on, a lot to take in, but it was kind of a good conference overall.
Kevin, what did you think of the whole thing?
Well, what I heard was just listening to what Ryan reported. It's interesting to hear all of the views expressed, and certainly trying to position Saskatchewan as a supplier of all three of those critical ingredients. Fortunes sure rise and fall. You know, if you look at the uranium industry after the tsunami and flooding in Japan and the problems they had with their nuclear reactors and kind of turned them off of nuclear power and many others. And now things, have come full cycle the other way, and more countries that believe that nuclear energy is really the future for a green answer to fuel supply. So fortunes rise and fall. The same with potash. The same with agricultural commodities. So we are in that commodity boom bust that can make us look really good or make our economy quake a little bit in fear from time to time.
And of course, the first Saskatchewan crop report of the year was issued on Thursday morning. And it says that I think it's 12% of the crop is in the ground here in Saskatchewan, province-wide anyway. Of course, the numbers vary quite a bit from region to region. The Southwest and Southeast are leading the way, and I think it's the East Central and Northeast that are the furthest behind right now. I know, Ryan, you had a chance to speak with the Agriculture Minister at that announcement on Thursday morning.
Yes, that was at the Westwood Agri Services, like I alluded to earlier in the program. He was kind of talking a little bit about how it's a big time of the year for the province. Obviously, he mentioned a stat that kind of stood out to me: $6 billion worth of fertilizer and seed, and among other things, going into the ground. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a snapshot as to how big agriculture is for our economy here in Saskatchewan. And just wish too farmers to be safe this year when it comes to seeding. I know we talked about in the last roundtable about being safe around power lines, especially. And Kevin, you sharing a story about how you hit a line there at one point. So that was basically the basic message from Merritt. He was kind of expecting also around 40 million tons of total crop production for this year. He mentioned that same amount last year when he released the first crop report as well. Last year, we fell short of his expectation of 31.7 million tons of total crop production, and he's hoping for the same amount as well. So kind of a basic, straightforward message overall, and just, again, looking to, hopefully having a good growing season.
Kevin, you're in the Southwest right now?
Yeah, we're certainly off to a great start. There's been times in our history when we've had so much surplus moisture that hundreds of thousands of acres never got seeded. Been times when it looked like a terrible drought this time of year. We've been above normal precipitation the past couple of months almost everywhere, and it's a really great start to the seeding season. Here we're done chickpeas. We just finished putting in maple peas, and we're switching over to large green lentils. And further to Ryan's point, I was thinking about the power pole message as I was seating around a group of power poles just before lunch today. So it crossed my mind that better if I didn't hook this power pole with the end of the seating outfit.
You bet. And of course, the latest on the possible rail strike by CN and CPKC rail workers. We heard last week that the Federal Labor Minister, Seamus O'Regan, was basically suggesting he wouldn't be introducing back to work legislation anytime soon if they did go on strike. And then we found out late Thursday, that O'Regan has asked the Canada Industrial Relations Board to look at whether the strike might have safety implications. And because of that, and until the board has issued a decision, the strike cannot start. What's your reaction to that news, Kevin?
That's an interesting development. Certainly, the original message was the best deals are arrived at the bargaining table. We're not going to bring in, you didn't say it this way, but the message was there's no back to work legislation coming anytime soon if CN and CPKC do in fact go on strike. So interesting that he'd bring up the safety angle. I suspect that there will be provisions made for things that come in by rail that are a safety issue in the event of a strike. So I'm not sure whether it will only delay a strike if a strike is where we're heading, or whether it actually could stop a strike. I suspect, though, that they'll find ways to mitigate whatever safety concerns there are. But interesting to see that come out of the minister after the original message.
Ryan, anything you wanted to add on that?
Yeah, just kind of wondering that first little bit there about safety concerns. I was kind of wondering, like, safety concerns, what do you mean? Now, I'll admit, you get so focused on the agriculture side of the news cycle that you forget that there's other products that, not only are exported, but also come into the country as well from the Port of Vancouver, whether that be healthcare supplies or cars or any other products for that matter. So kind of ties into that safety concern angle. And I also kind of found it interesting too that this study is being made and that there can't be a strike until it's completed. So I just find it kind of interesting. And the perception right now is, yeah, well, we won't issue back to work legislation. And then there's this roundabout way of kind of preventing a strike from happening. So I just kind of find that interesting all around.
Did either of you add anything else that you wanted to talk about or anything planned for next week other than the fact I know, Kevin, you're busy trying to get some seed in the ground out there?
Yeah, just plugging away and trying to keep things going, trying to keep the sprayer ahead of the seeder, and deploy the rotating group of family and friends that are helping me with seeding. So
All
Yeah,
right.
there's also too more from the Provincial Crop Report news conference that happened on Thursday. Blaine McLeod, who's Sask Party MLA for Lumsden Morse, I believe the constituency he represents, if my memory serves me well. He's also a dairy farmer too, so he talked a little bit about what's going on in the United States with avian flu being tested positive in the milk supply and dairy cattle herds, just kind of viewing that from his perspective and kind of getting his thoughts on it. Right now, he's not worried. He's just taking a kind of a cautious approach. Rest assured, he reassured everybody that it hasn't come up in Canada as of today, but they're just kind of watching it from afar and seeing where that goes.
All right. On that note, that'll conclude this week's edition of the SaskAgToday.com Roundtable. On behalf of Chief Agricultural Editor Kevin Hursh and 620 CKRM Regina AgriNews Director Ryan Young, I'm GX94 Yorkton Agriculture Director Doug Falconer saying so long until next time.